You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Talkin' Ducks is presented by Pacific Clear Vision Institute and Les Schwab Tire Centers. Welcome into another edition of Talkin' Ducks. It is March Madness time here, and we will highlight what the Oregon men might need to do to try and salvage a potential postseason run. Also, the Oregon women's basketball team falling to Utah in the Pac-12 tournament. We'll see if they can make a run when it comes time for the NCAA tournament. Also, spring football just around the corner. We'll touch base with the football team for the latest news. And then also women's softball. Melissa Lombardi and company getting off to a terrific start this season. We'll go around the horn and catch up with them as well too. But let's go ahead and get to our opening tip, brought to you by Les Schwab Tire Centers, where they've been doing the right thing since 1952. And the Oregon women's basketball team falling to the 6th-ranked Utah Utes, 80-73 in the Pac-12 tournament. And the Ducks came out scorching, using a 14-0 run while taking a 25-14 lead after the first quarter. But Utah fought back within 37-32 at halftime, then exploded for 23 points in the third quarter to lead by 10 going into the final quarter. The Ducks rallied to take a 66-65 lead with just under 4 minutes to go, but on the other end, Nyara Sabali picked up her 5th foul on a three-pointer, and Kelly Graves received a technical foul, so the Utes used the ensuing free throws to take a 9-0 run and control the game down the stretch. The Ducks had hoped to secure a top 16 seed and home games in the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament, but will now likely have to go on the road following the loss to Utah. Well, let's go ahead and hit Victory Road, presented by Capital Toyota in Salem. Your way on the Parkway. Here's Kelly Graves afterwards and what's ahead for his women's team in the postseason.
I mean, we've played some good basketball this year. It just depends on what's going to show up. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just kind of been that kind of year. It's crazy. We all experience just different groups each and every year. It's never the same. And but honestly, if we get our minds right, we practice hard, we focus, we get ourselves back up. It always feels bad now. I think we have a chance to win a bunch of games. I really do. I do. So I'm looking forward to the experience, and believe that we are going to do the Pac-12 proud. The one thing I will say about the Pac-12, it prepares us for the NCAA tournament. Over the last 4 or 5 years, we have the best record of any conference in the tournament. And that's not, bullshit. That's real. And those are real, BS. And those are real numbers. And so I think we will be prepared. And I anticipate that we're gonna come out, we're gonna play well. We've got to get great guard play. These two really have to set the tone for us. The NCAA, any postseason play comes down to guard play. And I think we have really, really good guards. We didn't shoot it that well tonight, but we have really good guards. And so I really believe that these two can help propel us to a really nice NCAA tournament run. Apologize for the cursing, if you only knew.
Well, the unfiltered Kelly Graves, and with that, we now welcome in Aaron Fentress from the Oregonian. And Aaron, Coach Graves filling up the Fentress family swear jar right there with a quarter, but a lot of passion from Coach. He's got a lot of belief in his team, and I think that's where some of the frustration comes from, because he feels like this team can be so good this year. They just haven't shown that consistency year-round.
Well, when I first started getting to know Coach Graves, I learned very quickly that he put me to shame when it comes to bad words. So not surprised at all about the coach dropping a little bit of profanity there. But hey, you know what? He's a passionate guy. He cares about his team. He believes in his team. This is a team that has been up and down. They've battled with injuries. They've been struggling to find an identity. They hope to do better, obviously, in this tournament to set themselves up for a top 16 seed. That did not happen, but they're still a threat to get to the Sweet 16. I think he believes that, the team believes that, and I believe it.
Yeah, there's still a 12 in the net, so we'll see what happens as far as hosting 2 games at home. Doesn't look like they will. They aren't even in the top 25 in the AP, but I really wanted to see this team play Stanford in the Pac-12 championship because they played them so close at Matthew Knight Arena. You know how good this team can be at Matthew Knight Arena, so it was almost an automatic trip to the Sweet 16 if they were hosting at home. And I'm with you. The injuries just really derailed this team at the beginning of the season, and they never really got that consistency And once they did, they were playing some very, very good basketball. But I think, again, it's this mix of youth and experience where inconsistency can creep up sometimes. And that's what we've seen across all of college basketball, right? Because of the COVID stoppages and teams dealing with so many new transfers and faces. I do feel like this Oregon team can get on a roll. We saw this last year from them, right, Aaron, where they were in a worse position last year going into the tournament. Not that now is a bad position. And they made an impressive run last year. So you feel like they've got enough top-tier talent that if they can put it together in some of these tournament games, they can make that run to a Sweet 16, potentially an Elite 8, based upon what we've seen in their play against Arizona and Stanford this year.
Yeah, and this sort of is why you see coaches sometimes fret over little things, even when they're having success, because they know how delicate that chemistry balance can be. And so when you're fighting that all season, you still have the positive vibes that you know what's potentially there, but you also have some angst because you haven't quite been able to fit it together like a Rubik's Cube, right? And so I think that when you're a coach like Graves and you have that kind of talent, you can sort of see that it can come together, and you're going to always believe you can do it because you've done it before. And so that's why I think he believes they have a chance. I think most people should believe they have a chance to make a lot of noise, but they have to overcome some of these little hiccups here and there that cost them against good teams.
I will say this is the longest break they've had all season long coming up here. Women's Selection Sunday is March 13th. They'll find out where they're going at this point. This is a team that had a brutal schedule in February, had no time for practice really to work on what they need to figure out as a team. They're going to get plenty of time now and some rest. So it'll be really interesting to see what this Oregon women's basketball team will look like when they get set for the tournament. All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll talk about the Oregon men, a disappointing weekend up in Washington that all but dashed their hopes for an at-large bid. We'll let you know if they can make a Pac-12 tourney run when we come back.
With 9 locations in the Pacific Northwest, Parr's Cabinet Design Center features everything from outdoor cabinets and countertops to sinks and hardware. Thousands of door styles and colors available to order, as well as kitchen and bath cabinets in stock. All available at the Parr Cabinet Design Center.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we'd gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
Welcome to your Capital Toyota.
From the moment you walk through the doors, we're here for you.
Buy, sell, trade.
We got you covered.
It's everything you need in one place.
Great service? Check.
Easy to work with?
Check.
We want you to be happy, and it shows in everything we do.
Because we respect your time.
It's all the quality and convenience in one package.
New or Toyota certified pre-owned.
Our people are your people.
Capital Toyota. It's your way on the Parkway.
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to be. With nonstop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations, fly local, fly EUG.
Stories tell us that great leaders are anointed at birth, chosen by the hand of fate. But those are just stories.
You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. It's time for some excellence off the football field, presented by Ferguson Wellman. Ferguson Wellman taking a disciplined approach to investing. Well, the Oregon men's basketball team had their chance over the last 2 weekends to basically secure an at-large bid, and they missed the boat, unfortunately. After splitting a pair of games against USC and UCLA at home, the Ducks get swept up in Washington, and it wasn't even close. Oregon falling to the Huskies by 11, and then getting drubbed by the Cougars by 20. Will Richardson goes scoreless against the Huskies, does not play against the Cougars based upon an injury he sustained against USC, got some stitches. And for this Oregon team, they fall all the way to 74 in the net. The highest net rated team to ever make the tournament was 73, and that was St. John's back in 2019. So Aaron, this is so anti-Dana Altman. Obviously, it's very frustrating for him, but a disappointing finish to the regular season for this team, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Whenever there was some questions about a team that Altman was coaching, you figured they would fix things come late February and March. And this time it just went the reverse. So I'm of the mind now that I feel like the win over UCLA, playing UCLA close, playing Arizona close, those were the flukes. Those were the, wow, they really rose up and played well in those games. And that who this team is a team that got blasted by Cal, blasted by ASU, blasted by UW, blasted by Washington State. If you'd have told me after that 4-game win streak that they were going to lose 6 out of 8, and that most of the losses were going to come by double digits against very mediocre basketball teams in this conference, I'd have been like, you're crazy, you're nuts. There's no way that's going to happen. And yet it happened. They've been outplayed, out-hustled, the other teams have been played tougher. They've been out-coached. It's just been a complete mess. And then when you know you got to win these two in the state of Washington, and you get hammered, and one of your stars can't score again, like it's mind-boggling what's going on with this team. They're not very good. They're not going to sweep and run through the Pac-12 and win all 4 games. They're just not that type of team. So I think it's going to all end for them in the Pac-12 tournament, and maybe they go to the NIT.
And I agree with you. And I think the one thing that was missing from this year's team was that true sense of leadership, that galvanizing player that really rallies everybody. You didn't quite see that on the floor in those games this week. And now this team is capable of doing that. They really are, especially when one of the 3 guards can go off like we've seen in those close games and those impressive victories. But can they do that for 4 games in a row in Vegas when the status of Will Richardson at the time that we're recording this, Aaron, is unknown? That's a pretty steep hill to climb, but we'll find out here in just a moment as we fly around the Pac-12, brought to you by Eugene Airport. Fly easy, fly EUG, and so the Ducks miss out on a bye on the first day. They now get the 5 seed. They'll take on Oregon State in the first round, the 12 seed, and then most likely they will play Colorado the very next day. And we talked about it, Aaron. Is there enough left in the tank for this Oregon team? What needs to go right? Because you get the sense that if Oregon is going to shock the world and somehow win 4 games in 4 days, the 3 guards for Oregon have got to get back to combining for 45 points a game like we saw during that 10-1 stretch. Not what we've seen here lately.
Well, so I'm looking at their schedule. The last time they won 4 in a row was against 4 pretty mediocre teams for the main part. But earlier in the season, they beat Utah in Pac-12, beat Utah, Oregon State, UCLA, USC. So if you can put together that type of run again, then you could probably win this tournament. The question is, that was a long time ago, and do they have enough at all to do that again? Yes, you need, obviously, your guards to score a lot of points, but the bottom line is with this team is so much like this that it's hard to find that even keel at a high level, especially when the last 2 games, especially, are going to be against very high-end teams, more than likely. So, I mean, do I think it's impossible? No, but I just don't think it's very likely because these guys just aren't all that good. They're losing to bad to mediocre conference teams by double digits, and doing so when they know they need to win in order to put themselves in a position to win an at-large berth. So I can't fathom them doing it, but hey, that's why they play the games, right?
Let's go ahead and hear from head coach Dana Altman, his thoughts on the initial start of the Pac-12 tournament.
Well, obviously, we're going to have to play a lot harder. Oregon State's playing hard. They think of their last few games, double overtime with USC, overtime game with this team, and then, had a close ball game with them. They're playing Washington today, but they've played really hard. I texted with Wayne, and he's really proud of their effort, and he should be. For a team that hasn't won, to have the character to compete is impressive. So we're going to have to compete. It'll be a toss-up ball game. We're going to have to get some things put together, and we're going to have to play a lot better.
So, Aaron, this is a terrifying game for Oregon because if you look at Oregon State, they've lost 17 straight games. They got nothing to lose in this tournament. And as Dana Altman said, They played USC tough. They played Washington State better than Oregon played Washington State. Oregon State can essentially salvage their season if they knock off the Ducks in the first round of this Pac-12 men's basketball tournament. This is probably the worst draw for Oregon. You almost would rather play a Utah or a Cal than a Beaver team with nothing to lose that has been playing better as of late.
And Oregon State lost by 2 just to Oregon on January 10th. So they've had a close game against Oregon as well. It's scary if the Oregon team that shows up is the one that showed up in the state of Washington, that showed up against Cal and ASU. If that team shows up, you and I and Joey and Newman, and we'll throw in our editor, our producer, Nick Elliott, who played high school basketball. He can run the point. We could maybe beat this team.
No, get out of here, Aaron. Get out of here.
You're right.
Get out of here.
Your offense isn't good enough. But anyway, if the team that shows up is the one that played against, that beat UCLA, beat USC earlier in the season, played well against Arizona, that team throttles Oregon State. So to me, it's not about Oregon State. It's about which Oregon team shows up at this tournament ready to play. And we'll know right away if they're serious about this thing. They should hammer Oregon State by 20, leave no doubt, and then I'll think, oh, maybe these guys are coming to Vegas with some bad intentions in mind.
There's no way the 5 of us could even score a point against this squad. The good news is if the 5 of us did take them on, we wouldn't even need a ball.
Skills.
We could just use your fat head and dribble it up and down the floor. All right, don't go anywhere. Plenty more to get back to. We'll talk some college football, some NFL Combine, all the good football news when we come back on Talkin' Ducks.
In the heart of the South Willamette Valley, just 12 miles southwest of Eugene, distinctive handcrafted wines are waiting for you at Sylvan Ridge Winery. Sylvan Ridge Wines bring unassuming, casual elegance to your homes, tables, and celebrations, and are best paired with the mainstays of a social gathering: good food, fond friends, and lively conversation. Discover our wines by visiting our tasting room. For a list of events or to plan your visit, go to sylvanridge.com. Proud partners of the Oregon Ducks.
Since 1961, Comfort Flow Heating has provided service to more than 50,000 homes and businesses in the Willamette Valley. While the technology and techniques in our industry have changed, our founding principles have remained the same: to provide exceptional service in all areas of our business and for our customers to enjoy their products from us and be comfortable for years to come.
From all of us at Comfort Flow, thank you for choosing us.
Go Ducks!
Parr Lumber is committed to providing the best customer service. We provide personal service. We're problem solvers. We're positive and courteous. We're competent and professional. We are committed to delivering exceptional service every time. We're appreciative and we care. We are Parr Lumber.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we had gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Sometimes leadership is scary. But so is regret.
You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber.
I think the biggest thing I kind of want to articulate to the teams is that I'm really a student of the game, right? I really love this game. This is something that it's done a lot for me, right? Football's taught me a lot. It's helped me grow a lot. And, through my life, it'll be there till the day I die, right? So for me, just letting teams know that this is the main thing, and I'm always going to keep the main thing, no matter what else I do off the field. Football is my main focus, and, winning a Super Bowl, getting a yellow jacket, being, Defensive Rookie of the Year is, on my list of goals.
And it's time to put things into focus, brought to you by Pacific Clear Vision Institute, the official eye doctors and eye surgeons of the Oregon Ducks. And with that, we bring in Joey Harrington, joining the crew as well, too. Kayvon Thibodeau runs a 4.5940, puts up 27 reps in the bench press, the most amongst edge rushers at the Combine, but then withdraws from the rest of the drills because he said the day was starting to get too long. And so, Joey, there's this narrative that somehow got attached to Kayvon Thibodeau, that he doesn't take football as seriously as maybe some teams and GMs would hope he would. And now you have this bit of news that he withdrew from the rest of the drills, and he's not really pleading his case, but explaining his love for the game. Is this hurting Kayvon, or is this just kind of some of that narrative mumbo jumbo that doesn't really matter come draft day when a team is still going to look at his game film and his production on the field?
I would say yes, and yes. I mean, a little bit of everything. I mean, did withdrawing help the narrative? No, it didn't. But is the narrative necessarily true? No, it isn't. I mean, honestly, he reminds me, and I think that as I've kind of looked at this and thought about it, he reminds me of Ndamukong Suh a bit, in that he's this extraordinary talent that doesn't necessarily live, sleep, eat, breathe football, foaming at the mouth like this terror on the field that all he's, just this giant meathead. He's a smart dude, right? He's talked publicly about how he wants to use football to set up the rest of his life. He's talked about his decision-making process and why he chose Oregon and what that can do for his trajectory of his long-term career, right? Those aren't things that most top 5 NFL prospects talk about publicly. And so I think it's almost this kind of backwards idea that the fact that he's a smart guy who thinks about his future is somehow harming his ability to play football right now and be the dominant player that that he's shown on film. So I think it's a little bit of yes to all of those. I think the idea that he doesn't necessarily take football seriously can be watched on film, and I think he'll have a great opportunity no matter where he goes, because it's not going to take him out of the top 5, top 10 picks. No matter where he goes, to completely erase that narrative by his play in his first year on the field.
Aaron, your thoughts? I mean, here's some talk about Kayvon, and to Joey's point, he's been a very bright, open-minded, outspoken athlete at his time at Oregon, talking about crypto, his foundation, just all these other things, that he's so much more than just a football player. But what we've heard and what we've seen from the Combine, how much do you think this is going to impact where he gets drafted?
Y'all sit back for a minute, because I'm about to go full Fentress on this. Okay, first of all, we're in that time of year where you're narrowing things down to the top 5, 6, 7 picks, and so everyone's going to nitpick the bejesus out of everybody. It could be anything. He had a Whopper with cheese. He didn't even have onions on his. Well, I don't trust that guy because he doesn't have onions on. Like, it's the littlest things. Do you remember when Marcus was coming out? The big thing for a while was, can he take a snap from under center? Like, that's the easiest thing a quarterback has to learn how to do. Like, if you can't learn how to take a snap under center, you shouldn't be drafted at all, let alone whether you're going to be top 2. But people talked about that for weeks. So what Kayvon basically did is he went to the Combine, and for a defensive end, he busted out a 4.58 40. And then he mic dropped it and said, "Outie," because I'm not going to stand around here for hours waiting for you people to set up cones and get me to this drill and that drill. I got things to do, and if you don't want me at 4, someone's going to take me at 5. Also, the idea that this means he doesn't have a love for the game, I'm sorry, did they play 1 ounce of football in Indianapolis this past week? No, that wasn't the game. That was measuring and interviews and all that nonsense. It has nothing to do with playing on the field. It's all entertainment. It's part of the entertainment mega entity that is the NFL. They want to be year-round, and year-round means having some kind of news to talk about, and this is what they do. We're going to nitpick this player and say he doesn't love the game. He loves the game enough to be a top 10 pick and make quarterbacks next fall look for him. That's how much he loves the game, and that's all that matters. All this other stuff is nonsense. Scene.
Joey.
Okay, hold on. Let me also say to that, though, Aaron, I think you can also potentially think, like, where is this coming from, right? This guy is a generational talent. And so there are a lot of teams that are going to want him. Might it behoove someone to plant a story like, hey, Kayvon doesn't love the game, knowing full well that, like, hey, because I want to take him at 6, but I hope that number 5 and number 4 pass on,
Put it out there.
So there's all sorts of games like this going on. You're right. Look, okay, hold on. I don't like how many times I've said you're right, Aaron, in the last couple months.
Oh yeah, that's way too many.
Way too many. But you are mostly correct in your analysis of somebody else's performance, not your opinion, Aaron, that he did mic drop, putting up 27 reps on the bench and running a 4.58. It's like, thank you so much. You don't need to see me run between some cones in my underwear. You've seen my film. Let's get this thing moving.
Joe, I got to ask you, as a top 5 pick yourself, was there any nitpicking about you coming into the draft?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I wasn't fast
I'm not
enough.
talking about play. Give me some
he could only play
cheesy,
Beethoven. He couldn't play Bach on the piano.
Well, actually, no. It was more, I could only do, Bill Evans and Miles Davis. I couldn't do Bach and Beethoven. That
dropped you from 2 to 3, right?
Yeah, I was too slow. I didn't have a big enough arm. There are things like... My issues were I wasn't physically talented enough, right? My narrative coming out was he's this leader that, all of a sudden just pulls wins out of thin air. But, he's really slow and he doesn't have the arm to do it. You have to find, I wasn't really slow. I was just kind of slow. So there was a little bit of that to it. But you just have to find those things, like we talked about a second ago. What is going to create a narrative that might put doubt in somebody else's head to take the guy that you really want? And there's so much gaming going on right now. But it was also a little bit different because I didn't know if I was going to go 3 or if I was going to go 16. There's a bit of variety there, or there was a wide variance in the teams that needed a quarterback. So everybody knew David Carr was one, and then we were all just kind of playing to see who went next.
That's a good point. And real quick, just to go down memory lane real fast, other than Detroit, Joey, what was the other team that was maybe most likely going to take you?
Well, there were 6 teams that needed quarterbacks. Houston, the expansion franchise, took took David Carr, and then it was Detroit, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Washington, and Kansas City. Right? And it was, at the time, I didn't really want to go to Buffalo or Cincinnati. I wanted to go to Kansas City the most. Did I say Cincinnati or Kansas City? Buffalo.
You said Cincinnati and Kansas City.
Okay. Buffalo and Cincinnati didn't want to go there. Washington would like that, wanted to go to Kansas City, and Detroit was just kind of in the middle. So, and those teams picked on a range from 3 all the way till 16 or 18. So, it was a bit surprising that I went 3, just because I was kind of prepared to sit there, but I just went out and played golf. So, decent day.
This was before the rookie draft salary cap, so congratulations on going number 3. Aaron, any Ducks hurt or helped themselves during the rest of their time at the Combine?
It was a very uneventful week for the Ducks, really. I mean, Devin Williams tweaked something after his first 40 time. It was like a 4.65. Which is not horrible given his size, but not great, obviously. Verdell did not run the 40. Verone didn't run the 40, but I guess he did well in some drills. Now, Johnny Johnson ran a 4.6 flat, which isn't burning, but it's still good enough speed for who and what he is. I think he has a great chance to make a roster, at the very least, as a practice squad guy. So I think he at least showed that he has some decent measurables to go along with the quality production you see on film, especially when he was playing with Justin Herbert. So, but other than that, it wasn't a great week for the group.
All right, we'll stick around when we come back. We've got more to get to. Spring football just around the corner for the Ducks. We'll give you our thoughts on the biggest storylines as the season gets set to start here very shortly. We'll be right back on Talkin' Ducks.
Do you have a stay-at-home project? We can help. Contact Parr from the comfort of your home. Get a free quote online or call a pro to order your materials. And the best part? We deliver. Call us or visit Parr.com for details. Parr, your project experts for 90 years.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
Welcome to your Capital Toyota.
From the moment you walk through the doors, we're here for you.
Buy, sell, trade.
We got you covered.
It's everything you need in one place.
Great service? Check.
Easy to work with?
Check.
We want you to be happy, and it shows in everything we do.
Because we respect your time.
It's all the quality and convenience in one package.
New or Toyota certified pre-owned.
Our people are your people.
Capital Toyota. It's your way on the Parkway.
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to be. With nonstop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations, fly local, fly EUG.
You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Talkin' Ducks is presented by Pacific Clear Vision Institute and Les Schwab Tire Centers. Welcome back. It's time for our Thing of Beauty, presented by Dr. Lee B. Daniel and Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. Live beautiful. And fellas, spring ball starts on Thursday. Here we go. It feels like it was just the offseason yesterday. But Dan Lanning, obviously so much excitement around this Oregon football team. Let's start with you, Joey. What are you most excited to see start to develop, at least with these spring practices? Obviously, it's not the real deal, but we'll start to see some glimmers of what's new with this Oregon team. So what about you? What are you looking forward to seeing?
I'm looking forward to seeing who is going to be the third string right guard. No, I want to see the quarterbacks. Everybody wants to see the quarterbacks. Hello. Everybody wants to know whether it's going to be Ty Thompson or Bo Nix or whoever. They want to see this. This is what people have been screaming for the last year, is seeing Ty Thompson in action. Well, here you go. Fresh coaching staff, fresh spring ball. You know, let's see it. Let's really get it out there and see what kind of player this guy can be. Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Butterfield? Is it going to be Nix, the transfer coming in? I think that is absolutely the biggest storyline of all of it. And not that the other stuff doesn't matter, but I think establishing a quarterback, at least an idea of a quarterback right now, is going to be hugely beneficial for this team. Now, they'll never come out and say, Bo's going to be the starter on mid-April. But I think they'll have a really good idea of who the guy is going to be so they can start building things, getting ready for the fall.
Aaron, how about you?
I agree. I think everything else will take care of itself. Whether you're mediocre at some position or great at other positions, at the end of the day, the focal point, if you want to do what Oregon wants to do, is going to be at the quarterback position. You got a good veteran in Nix. That's great. He's your, at least your floor, that you have a good quarterback who can maybe be better. But to me, I'm going to narrow it down even finer, and that's the Ty Thompson. To me, this spring is all about Ty Thompson, because if he does not develop, then you're looking at a situation where Nix is your guy, and then who's coming in after that? Is it going to be Butterfield? I don't believe it is. I think it's either Ty Thompson or someone not at Oregon yet. But if Ty Thompson can grow to the point where he's pushing Nix now, or maybe beats them out, now you're looking at maybe having a future superstar at the position in the line of Joey, Dennis, Marcus, and Justin. If that's the case, then now you can start really thinking big picture, I think, in terms of what you can accomplish over the next couple of years. But if Ty Thompson doesn't develop and ends up being a 5-star quarterback who never really develops into even an impact player, let alone not a superstar, then that is a huge storyline for this program, because it leaves them chasing a quarterback for the future, because Nix is going to be limited in his time with Oregon.
Here's what I want to see. I want to hop in my car, take that incredibly boring drive from Portland down to Eugene where you turn maybe once or twice. I want to see the receivers in person. Here's why I say this, Aaron and Joey. You guys know in spring ball, it's hard to get a true sense of what a player at a particular position can do, because you're not necessarily doing a bunch of live hitting and you don't have the entire scheme in there. But you can look at receivers and see the technicalities of them, how they get in and out of their breaks, how they catch the ball, how they move, to get a sense of, wow, this guy, when you get to a real game, has the toolkit to be an effective receiver that can beat one-on-one coverage. And I feel like Oregon has kind of lacked that consistently over the last couple of years. And regardless of who's quarterback, I think over the last few seasons, it's been fair to say that Oregon just hasn't had the star depth at running back and wide receiver that they had during some of their strongest runs. And I'm curious to see if some of these young receivers can show that individual improvement and that skill level that'll translate to the regular season. But we're just getting started, so it'll be fun to see. Well, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll do our football edition of March Madness and select our first round bracket as we rank the all-time greatest Oregon football teams. We'll be right back on Talkin' Ducks.
With 9 locations in the Pacific Northwest, Parr's Cabinet Design Center features everything from outdoor cabinets and countertops to sinks and hardware. Thousands of door styles and colors available to order, as well as kitchen and bath cabinets in stock. All available at the Parr Cabinet Design Center.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we'd gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
In the heart of the South Willamette Valley, just 12 miles southwest of Eugene, distinctive handcrafted wines are waiting for you at Sylvan Ridge Winery. Sylvan Ridge Wines bring unassuming, casual elegance to your homes, tables, and celebrations, and are best paired with the mainstays of a social gathering: good food, fond friends, and lively conversation. Discover our wines by visiting our tasting room. For a list of events or to plan your visit, go to sylvanridge.com. Proud partners of the Oregon Ducks.
Since 1961, Comfort Flow Heating has provided service to more than 50,000 homes and businesses in the Willamette Valley. While the technology and techniques in our industry have changed, our founding principles have remained the same: to provide exceptional service in all areas of our business and for our customers to enjoy their products from us and be comfortable for years to come.
From all of us at Comfort Flow, thank you for choosing us.
Go Ducks!
You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. Let's get to the hot topic, brought to you by Comfort Flow Heating, the HVAC industry leader in Western Oregon since 1961. And what is it, Joey, before we get to
I'm logging protest before we even begin. First of all...
Well, let's talk about what we're beginning here. Take a look at our March Madness Oregon football bracket. That's right. We've got our top 16 teams that we feel in program history. Top 12, let's make it. And we've got our first round today with 4 matchups. We've got 2011 versus 94. I'm going to get to you in just a second here, Joey. 2005 versus 2013, 2000 versus 2007, and 2019 versus 2009. Before we get to the 5 versus 12 seed, Joey, you have a question.
No, I don't have a question. I have a very intense, dramatic protest. Okay, yes. So if we're going to include teams that have injured quarterbacks, right? We included Dennis, right, and his team in
we
there.
We did, yes.
Under the premise that had he been healthy, they were one of the best teams. At the times he was healthy. We included Kellen, he got hurt later in the year, in that team. If we're going to work under that premise, we have to include 1988 and Bill Musgrave. They were 6-1. They were on the top of the conference. They were playing against a ranked Arizona State team who they only lost to by 1 point, and he broke his collarbone. At that point, they lost the ball game, and they lost the remaining 5 games of the season. So it is literally the same situation as Dennis and Kellen. Bill Musgrave's 88 team needs to be included in there. Number 2, 95 would have beat 94 head-to-head. Flat out. Not a chance. So I disagree with the inclusion of 94 over 95 if we are limited to a 12 game. That's why I said we should have gone to a 16-team bracket. But I got over.
Well, Joey, what happened was last week, I think you were doing Pilates, and that's when 94 beat 95 and 88 in the play-in to get to this 12 spot right
but
here.
95,
I know because I don't do Pilates anymore. I quit that stuff. Garbage.
95 didn't win the conference, and then they got smoked in the Cotton Bowl, right?
They would have beat 94. They were a more talented football team that would have beat them.
Well,
I assume then, Joey,
I think 94
you're taking
represents
2011
but 94,
over 94.
But 94 has a bunch of players who are on 95, so those players are represented. The best players on 95 are represented in 94.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a look at this first matchup.
Maybe.
Okay. 2011 versus 94. Joey, I assume you're going to go with 2011 here?
I think 94 would have lost to 95.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I mean, I have to. I mean, I wish that I could present an argument. I love the impact that Rose Bowl team had. I think they're one of the iconic teams of this program. I think they've produced one of the iconic moments of this program. But I think that oftentimes that overshadows the absolute immense talent that was on that 95 team. So, yeah, I go with 2011 there.
Aaron.
Hold on a sec. Joey's just fired up. Okay.
I'm just trying to create drama, right?
No, that's fine. I'm bitter that our producer went and jumped the gun on some of these things we were supposed to debate because we don't have the 95 or the 2015 Vernon Adams team, but that's another debate. Okay, this to me is easy. The 2011 team was coming off the 2010 National Championship game appearance, and then the 2012 team went 12-1. That was 3 straight years where the Ducks were in the mix for a national title, a game berth. 2011 obviously fell short, losing that critical home game to USC. But you had Michael James on that team. You had the first Rose Bowl win in 85 years with that team. So to me, it's not even close. 2011 easily in a runaway. They smoked 94.
You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. All right, our next matchup, number 8 seeded 2005 versus number 9 seeded 2013. This is a close matchup. Let's start with you again, Joey.
Okay, so 05 is Kellen.
Kellen,
right?
who got hurt.
Kellen,
this team had one loss in the regular season to an SC team with Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush.
Right, but Kellen got hurt, and then they lost to Oklahoma in the
Holiday Bowl.
17-14, correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
Here's the thing for me, because this is a tight one. This is a really tight matchup. And if we are going with a healthy Kellen, right, assuming that's what we've got in this matchup, it comes down to one thing for me. And you could debate this back and forth all over the place, because these are two really good teams. I will never bet against Marcus. And that's what it is for me, is even a sophomore Marcus takes this 2013? Yeah, 2013 team over the top against 05. So I think the 9 seed upsets the 8 seed in this one.
I'm going to agree,
Aaron.
and for the reasons he just said, and plus, again, this is a 13 team that in 12 won the Fiesta Bowl, and 14 is going to go to the national championship game with a lot of the same players, whereas the 2005 team had a really bad 2006 and a really bad 2004, but the 2005 team was the first year they went to the spread zone read team, our offense, with Kellen manning that. And Kellen would have been at least a top 10 Heisman candidate had he not broken his leg. He was a Johnny Unitas candidate. I don't think they would have lost again had he not gotten injured. As a matter of fact, they finished the regular season ranked 5th in the nation. A lot of people don't remember that. They were 10-1, 5th in the nation. Had they somehow miraculously beaten USC that year, and then Kellen been healthy, they would have gone maybe to the national championship game. That's how close that team was to greatness. With Kellen, they were very, very dominant, but I'm still going to go with 2013.
So I played on 2005. I know you guys said Marcus Mariota.
And that was another
one
reason,
player
too.
name.
Jordan Kent was actually catching touchdowns for that team. So
No, not me. Haloti Nada. Haloti Nada. People don't remember how dominant he was in college, and I just look at this team and all the pros that they had across the board, especially in the secondary. Anyway, would have been a good matchup. I'm rolling with 2005 in this situation.
Marcus, Josh Huff.
They still lost at Arizona that year.
He couldn't have
burped
caught
up a game at Arizona.
Demetrius Williams.
They lost to a worse team than the 2005 team lost to. End of story. When everyone was healthy.
At Arizona. You're right.
At Arizona.
Yep.
They got completely outplayed at Arizona.
You're right.
And there's no excuse for that, to be honest. So anyway, next one. 2000 team, which is ranked number 7, versus 2007, which was ranked number 10. That was the team, of course, 2007. Dennis Dixon gets hurt on the verge of a Heisman Trophy win. 2000, Joey Harrington stumbling into the end zone, catching a touchdown pass in the corner of the Holiday Bowl, if I am correct on that, right,
Aaron,
Joey?
you're going first on this one.
You going first?
You're going first.
I'm going first.
Go ahead, Abe.
He's trying to set me up. But he doesn't know that I know what he's thinking. But listen, here's the deal. I only included the teams with the injured quarterbacks to show some respect for those teams. And the team with Dennis had a chance to go to the national championship game. They did, but there's still several games left, and they weren't able to close the deal because Dennis got injured. But the bottom line is they still didn't close the deal. The 2000 team was setting up what 2001 accomplished. And to me, at the time when they beat Texas, that was arguably one of the biggest 3 or 4 wins in program history. And I believe that was the first 10-win season in program history. And granted, Texas wasn't the Texas of its best years, but it was still Texas. And for Oregon to take them down in that game was a very big moment. So I'm going to go with 2000 because they closed the deal, whereas, Oregon did win the Sun Bowl, I think, with Roper at quarterback, but still, I'm going to go with 2000 over 2007.
So, okay, look, I have to agree with Aaron, of course, but here's the reasoning. Dennis's team, they were number 2 at one point, but they finished 8-4, right? That was a 4-loss team. Now, you say, well, it's because Dennis didn't play. I'll be perfectly honest. There were 2 or 3 games at the beginning of the 2000 season where I might as well not have played. Like, I threw for 119 yards and a pick. But you know what? The rest of the team carried me. Maurice Morris carried me. That defense carried me, right? Until we got into those teams where we beat SC on the road. And then we beat back-to-back number 6 Washington and number 6 UCLA. We beat Now I could be wrong on this. I think Texas was a top 10. They might have been like 11 or 12, which means we would have beat 3 top 10 teams that year. And our only 2 losses were to top 10, top 5, top 10. I'll say top 10 for sure, because Oregon State was like 8th when we lost to them. So in terms of body of work, there's no comparison for me. I mean, that 2000 team was a couple plays away, a couple bounces of the ball away from potentially playing for a national championship as well. So I appreciate you including Dennis's team, because they were fantastic until he got hurt. But this is one of those games, if they play head to head, it's a close game at halftime, and then we just kind of pull away and win by 17 at the end.
All right, real quick, because our play clock's expiring here. 2019 versus 2009. You guys both think this one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I do. I would take 2019 with Herbert. Kayvon as a freshman, that running game picking up steam at the end of the year, especially in the national championship game. A lot of talent on that team. 09 team was obviously a good team, set the table for 2010, but I just don't think it was nearly as strong as 2019.
Joey.
Am I mistaken in remembering that 09 lost the Rose Bowl and 19 won the Rose Bowl?
You're not mistaken.
You were not mistaken at all.
I think there it lies for me. Even if you're going to be, head to head, we got Justin Herbert with a Rose Bowl win, and we got 09 with a Rose Bowl loss.
There you go.
On, baby.
All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back on Talkin' Ducks, we'll wrap up shop and take a look at women's softball off to a terrific start. Don't go anywhere.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we had gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Thanks, kiddo.
Give everyone peace of mind on the road. Swing by or book online. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
Welcome to your Capital Toyota.
From the moment you walk through the doors, we're here for you.
Buy, sell, trade.
We got you covered.
It's everything you need in one place.
Great service? Check.
Easy to work with?
Check.
We want you to be happy, and it shows in everything we do.
Because we respect your time.
It's all the quality and convenience in one package.
New or Toyota certified pre-owned.
Our people are your people.
Capital Toyota. It's your way on the Parkway.
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to be. With nonstop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations, fly local, fly EUG.
Stories tell us that great leaders are anointed at birth, chosen by the hand of fate. But those are just stories.
You're watching Talkin' Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. Let's have a toast brought to you by Sylvan Ridge Winery, proud partners of the Oregon Ducks. And how about Oregon softball coach Melissa Lombardi getting the ice bath here? Important reason for that. She picked up win number 100 at Oregon over the weekend at the Carolina Classic. The Ducks went 5-0 in North Carolina, improving to 16-3 on the season, heading into their home opener Friday at Jane Sanders Stadium against Portland State. And this is really cool for me to see because I remember we had a chance to sit down with Coach right when she took over at Oregon. And if you don't remember, there was a lot that happened there. Previous coach leaves. Coach White is gone. You have about 8 or 9 players that transfer immediately. Oregon softball was a juggernaut at this time. They had won multiple conference titles in the toughest conference, arguably, in the entire country here in the Pac-12. Lombardi comes in. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Obviously, she has a wonderful pedigree coming over from the Big 12, and she has been lights out here at Oregon. So congratulations, Melissa. A lot of adversity you've had to deal with the players transferring, with COVID, the interruptions, but a 16-3 start to the season is fantastic. And again, you can catch their home opener at Jane Sanders Stadium against Portland State coming up here soon. That'll do it for this edition of Talkin' Ducks. Next week, we'll have the selection Sundays for both the men and women's basketball teams. We'll see where their postseason hopes might potentially lie. Also, spring football, we'll have 2 practices under our belt. We'll hear from some of the players and coaches as the Dan Lanning era begins. That'll do it for all of us here on Talkin' Ducks. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.